room is here too? All right. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for being here bright and early to join our session. I'm Rachel McDonald. I am the project director for the Increasing Digital Literacy in the American Workforce Project, which Rachel and Grace will tell you more about in a sec. But I'm just really thrilled that Grace Ayer from Octave is here to join us and kick us off this morning. And so I wanted to just invite her up and say how much I'm thrilled to have her joining us and have really enjoyed our partnership with the department on this project. And then she will turn it over to Rachel, who you are all here to really see, the other Rachel, and she will tell you all about AI literacy. But thank you all.
Good morning, everyone. It's great to be with you, and thank you for bringing your energy and your curiosity to this very early morning session. This is actually a treat because you're going to get a sneak preview of a part of a project that is underway. It's not yet ready to be fully unveiled, but we wanted to give you a sense of where we're going with the Increasing Digital Literacy in the American Workforce Project. We're in the process of developing an online course for adult education providers to develop their skills in teaching skills, digital skills within the adult education classroom. And our aim is to provide classroom-ready strategies and resources to support that contextualized digital literacy instruction. If any of you have reviewed, and you may not have, I live in DC, so I kind of do DC wonky stuff, reviewed the most recent reauthorization proposal for the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, you will see that the law places AI literacy alongside digital literacy as a clear mandate to the adult education field as an area of responsibility where we need to develop our teaching skills and we need to develop our learners' skills with AI so that they can access it, that they can use it, that they can evaluate it, and that they can grow with it. So today is going to give you a sense of how we introduce the topic of AI literacy within the adult ed classroom. You're going to have an opportunity to do a little bit of practical application. And through this session, you are going to be guided by a tremendous expert in this domain. Rachel Riggs is a technical advisor with World Education. She brings years of experience in professional development, ESOL instruction, digital literacy instruction, and a heck of a lot of creativity. So I think you're going to enjoy her presentation today. I know that I've really enjoyed working with Rachel as well as Rachel McDonald and Jen Vanek. We have a phenomenal team, and we just can't wait to share this project with you in its full manifestation. So thank you for being here just to get a little taste. Thank you.
Okay. Hi. Good morning. Hi, Emily. Good to see you. Hello to friends online. I hope you guys can hear us okay. I wish we could see your faces, but we are waving to you and we're so glad that you joined us. Um, so, hi, I'm Rachel Riggs. I know some of you, not all of you, but I'm really excited to join you today and really learn alongside you. I'm hoping this will be a conversation and a collaboration. I'll present some of the things that we are seeing out in the field in regards to how AI is being integrated into adult education programs through our work at World Education and in partnership with JFF. And then again, would love to hear what you guys are seeing in your programs as AI advances and proliferates. Speaking of proliferation, let's talk a little bit about how you're seeing AI and how your learners are seeing AI. Hi, Anthony. He waved from back there. All right. So we're going to do a Mentimeter poll. This is where you guys will scan the QR code on your mobile devices. If you are online, then my colleague Jen Vanek is supporting you, and she's going to put a link for you in the chat. And if you're online, you can use your mobile phone too. So go ahead and scan that QR code. It's going to open up a Mentimeter poll. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen for just a moment while I switch over to Mentimeter so we can see the live results of the poll. Keep it up for another second. Let people scan. Okay, and I'm switching over, but it's okay. I can pull that QR code back up again, so do not fear. Okay, so first question here is, which of these have you used before? Let me share my screen for our friends online. Which of these have you used before? So what you're seeing, the first one is a chat bot. The second one is an in-home AI assistant. The third one is a financial app that checks your credit score, like Credit Karma. And then you see the watch. That's a fitness tracking watch. There's a social media icon on a mobile phone. There's a resume scanner, and then there's a VR headset. And so I'm wondering, and you guys are just putting little dots on the ones that you have used before. Okay. We have some clusters. It's interesting that nobody's on the resume scanner. Maybe you haven't used it, but it's been used on you. All right. And then less on the headset, but definitely the apps we're all familiar with and we use those. Okay, great. So these are all technologies and applications that leverage artificial intelligence or AI. And so what we see here is that a lot of the things that we use every day, like social media, are enabled by AI technology. So when you're in a session and they ask you, have you ever used AI before? And you're thinking, well, gosh, I haven't gotten around to that old chat GPT fad yet. You can confidently say probably yes, that you have, because AI tech is built into the technology that we use every day. Netflix uses AI to make recommendations for what shows you might want to watch. Social media uses AI to show you the posts that they think that you'll linger on the longest, and so on and so forth. So we're all using AI, whether it's ChatGPT or not. So let me ask you, how have you used AI today? Using that broader definition, or you can tell us about if you did talk to ChatGPT already this morning, you can even use that narrow definition. That's fine. How have you used AI today? This is going to create a word cloud. So if you'll give me one word or short phrase, then we can kind of see where there's consensus or patterns within how we all have used AI today. Somebody has already been developing curriculum this morning. Can we get a round of applause for the dedicated educator in this room? That is amazing. Oh, and somebody, this is interesting, process sleep data. So you woke up this morning and you were like, oh, look, I slept so well last night. Yay. Hopefully that was the result. Facebook searched a news story. Social media is a big one, right? So if you woke up and checked Instagram or YouTube or Facebook, then you did in some way use AI. Cool. Lots of results still coming in. I want to see if anything gets bigger. Send documents is interesting. I'm curious about the AI use in that. Maybe you generated some of the content in the document. Grammarly. Maybe you're just checking your spelling in the document. Okay, great. Now, a very important question for all of us is, where do you anticipate learners will encounter AI? Or we could even say do encounter AI. Adult learners in the programs, in the states, or in the classrooms that you support, Where do you anticipate they're encountering AI? Now, I should mention that this isn't a word cloud. This is just open-ended. So if you want to give a little bit more of a descriptive response, you can. At work, banking, everywhere, someone says. Child's school is a really good one. Yes, I have two young children in elementary school. So, always thinking about what that parent experience is like. Everywhere, all around. Okay, lots of everywhere, lots of all around at school, at work, in their homes. They use it in their classrooms, social media, customer service chat, streaming sites. Yes. Okay. And then we can use AI to group those responses and analyze the data that you guys just gave me. Let's see how it sorts the circles to squares. Okay, so we have some groups here. Social media, got a lot of responses, and then education, workplaces, home, healthcare, banking. Okay, great. So what we see is AI is all around us, right? It's in our lives. It's in our adult learners' lives. And I think within adult education, we have a long history of supporting adult learners and building literacies like financial literacy, health literacy, civics education, and all these multifaceted ways that they can use their skills to interact in the world. And AI increasingly is an essential piece of that puzzle as AI is used in finance apps and used in healthcare settings and used in the way that we engage with media and information online. So, for our agenda today, what we're going to cover, I'm going to talk a little bit about just some AI basics, and then we'll define AI literacy and look at the new framework from the Department of Labor. Who has seen the Department of Labor's AI literacy framework already? Raise your hand and tell us online with a yes. Oh, guys, keep your hands up. I didn't even look up yet. Okay. So we got it. We've got probably maybe about 10 people in the room. And we have several online. Okay, good. So we'll unpack that a little bit. I think it's interesting for us all to look at. It gives some helpful guidance on what we can cover in terms of AI literacy. And then we're going to explore AI a little bit. What are the different tools that are being used in adult education? And we'll go from what to how. So I prepared today 2 standards aligned lesson plans. So for my friend in the room who has already been doing curriculum development this morning, I'm glad you're here. We have 2 lesson plans and we're going to work in them today. And you guys will kind of identify where could we support AI literacy within a given lesson plan and what would that look like. So again, just sharing our ideas, no right or wrong answers, but kind of getting ourselves accustomed to and comfortable with identifying how AI literacy fits into the instruction that we do in adult education. So before we get started, some AI basics. So what do you notice about these AI features? Look at these little snippets of screenshots that I have on the screen. And friends online, you can put it in the chat, or somebody in the room, you can answer. We're going to have to do a mic run, yeah. What do you all notice?
AI has an icon.
Yeah, what is the icon, Emily? Little stars, yeah. Anybody notice anything else? So, follow-up question, what are those little stars meant to help a user understand? What message do they give to a user of technology? Go ahead, Zoe. Magic, magic, magic. That's right. Yeah, they're supposed to make you feel like whatever you have come to your computer to do today, AI is going to wave the magic wand and get it done for you. Yay! But what we know also is that AI is not magic, and that's good. That means we can actually teach it without going to Hogwarts. Although I would love to go to Hogwarts. Harry Potter, anybody a Harry Potter fan? Okay, you'll join me at Hogwarts. Good. AI is not magic. It is understandable. There are some issues around transparency with AI and the black box of AI that you may have heard of. So it may be difficult to understand fully everything, but there are things that we can understand about AI. And that we can teach about AI too. So AI is not magic. It's actually a machine-based system that, for explicit or implicit objectives, infers from the input it receives how to generate outputs such as predictions, content, recommendations, or decisions that can influence physical or virtual environments. That is the definition from the OECD. They actually updated that definition after the release of ChatGPT because they realized that what we once defined as AI, with the advances in technology, it had kind of shifted. There were new things that AI could do. So they revised their definition of AI. And it's a packed definition. There's a lot of facets to that. But what I want us to pick up on is inputs and outputs, because what that tells us is that that's where we come in, right? So we in Oh, I just grazed my finger over the button that is apparently the power button. So there's inputs that we control, and then there's outputs that we also control. We evaluate them and we decide how they go out into the world and how they influence the physical or virtual environments, hopefully. And so I use this image because I think it does help us think about. I just showed you guys different technologies that do use AI. So like a VR headset, an AI and home assistant. And those things were around for a while before ChatGPT. Netflix was around. Netflix's recommendation algorithm was around. And so, artificial intelligence has been around for decades, since the 50s. And then it became more advanced when we reached the point where we were doing machine learning. So machines were actually able to take data and learn from it and then shift their own behavior without explicit programming, and change what they did and how they responded. Then big data and a lot of computational power led us to deep learning and those capabilities, which then gave us the application of AI that is now known as generative AI. Who here is familiar with that term, generative AI? Okay. And can someone give an explanation to the group of what's unique about generative AI? And online, if you guys want to type it in the chat, we'd love to hear from you too. People love when you ask them to volunteer to give a definition after you've just given a very hefty definition. They're like, no, I don't think so. The question is, what is generative AI?
You want to try?
It's simple. We're all friends.
I believe that originally we used AI to support our thinking and generative AI has allowed it to think and hallucinate and dream and such.
Okay, so yeah. So before maybe it was more of a support, whereas now it can generate things more autonomously. Okay, and there's another one online.
Liz Elliott online says that exactly.
Okay.
Create new content.
Okay, yes, create new content. Yes, generate. Okay, awesome. So that's where we are right now. And that's why when we're in sessions this week at COABE and someone asks, have you used AI? We tend to think, oh, well, they must be talking about generative AI, because that's kind of the era of AI that we're in now. And we oftentimes are using the two terms interchangeably. So some of the things that we know are being used in our field, the first and big one is general purpose chat bots. So I have screenshots here of Gemini and ChatGPT. I'm sure there are others that you all may use, like Claude. I don't know, shout them out because I know you guys. Copilot. Yeah, that's right. Copilot. Yep. And so general purpose chatbots, you give a prompt and you receive a response very quickly. And there are a lot of different ways that we see this used. I think we've been doing a lot of work with teachers in professional development around the use of these chatbots to develop instructional materials that are high quality. In fact, I'll be doing a session on that later today. And so we have seen teachers using general purpose chatbots to develop the materials that then they bring into the classroom to enhance or extend learning. We also see a lot of use of digital design, and I think this is especially relevant, it definitely for teachers, but also for administrators who might be developing outreach materials. So Canva has built out a whole suite of AI features. They call it their Magic Studio. So there's that magic again. We also know that in learning and development departments within companies, a lot of companies have purchased something called Synthesia. And so they develop trainings where they just give a script to Synthesia, and Synthesia has a lot of AI features that help them put avatars into those trainings. So you can think about like a workplace safety training, and one of these avatars will be like, be safe at work. And so that's a common use of AI in the workplace. There are also specialized teaching tools. So Magic School AI and Conmigo are two big ones. There's Diffit. There's a lot of different apps that are meant to specifically support teachers. And what they do is they give you kind of a more controlled environment. So in a chatbot, you have to think of what you want to say and where you want to go with what you're generating. In specialized tools, you might get more support or scaffolds around what you do because there are options to choose from. So you can see that in Magic School AI, I can go in and think, well, I could create a rubric, or I can give writing feedback, and I just have more options to guide me through the process. And that's similar in the Conmigo teacher tools as well. And then, of course, there are study tools, lots of study tools. Some might call them cheating tools. I know some people do. But there are a lot of tools that are available to learners to support their journeys through academia and through learning. So Quizlet QChat is a great example. You can go into Quizlet. They have a chat bot. It will retrieve flashcard information for you, or it can be specific to a set of flashcards that you're studying, and you can interact with your flashcards in that way. And then there's Grammarly, obviously, which I think is, yes, a study tool for students who might be writing a lot, but also just a workplace productivity tool. And so we know everyone's using AI. Learners are encountering AI. There's lots of AI tools and features available to us. They're already being used by students, teachers, administrators. And so what we really want to do is to strike a balance and move beyond the binary idea that there is a yes or no about AI integration in education, and toward the idea that there is a yes, maybe, if, then, possibly so when all conditions are considered. So I think of AI literacy as helping us strike that balance. With AI literacy, when we're educating learners on the facets of AI and how they can use AI effectively and how they can use it ethically, we're really balancing their human skills, their cognitive skills, their interpersonal skills, with the effective use of AI and striking a balance that is a human-centered approach to AI integration. So I was very excited in February when the Department of Labor released their AI literacy framework. The AI literacy framework is interesting from the Department of Labor. I've looked at many definitions and frameworks on AI, and this one is unique in that it addresses specifically generative AI. So they honed the scope. We have a lot of frameworks that cover all forms of AI, and the Department of Labor specifically wanted to focus in on generative AI and a lot of the tools that we're talking about today, like chatbots. So this gives 5 foundational content areas of AI literacy. The first one is understand AI principles. And this is where we just want to kind of understand the basics of how AI works. What can it do? What are its limitations? And what are the core concepts that someone would need to know to define AI as an educator? And then 2, or as a worker in other fields, I should say, at a basic level. Number 2 is explore AI uses. And I've really seen the power of this in my work with teachers, how much they love to be in a room with other educators who talk about how they use AI. And it just sparks a lot of growth and consensus building and building of norms within the educational community. So I encourage you, if you haven't already, to get your teachers together to talk about how they use AI. I think it's really productive. So this is where you explore different AI tools and relevant use cases. The third content area we have is directing AI effectively, giving the right instructions, essentially, and giving sufficient oversight. 4 is evaluating AI outputs, making sure that you can look at something and say, is it quality? Is it aligned with what I was trying to produce? And 5 is use AI responsibly. And so that's the ethical aspect. And I think a lot of that is also accountability of the ways in which you use AI and how you send AI generated products out into the world, which is essential for all of us as educators and anyone who is building skills to enter the workforce and have a long career pathway. So I wanted to point out that these 2 content areas 3 and 4 are pretty specific to generative AI. And a scholar came up with a term that I really like, which is interaction skills. These are the skills that we need to interact with AI in that collaborative manner that generative AI supports. So if we're augmenting the work that we're doing, we need to be able to give the instructions that are clear and learn how to communicate to a machine-based system, which is a little different from communicating with each other. And then we need to be able to properly analyze and think through what AI produces and the purposes and goals for which we have used it. So I like that term, interaction skills. Part of interaction skills is prompt writing. Another question for the group. How many of you have taken like a prompt engineering or prompt writing course? By a raise of hands or a yes in the chat. Okay, Zoe. Everybody go to Zoe after this if you want to learn more about prompting. Zoe's doing a session. When's your session, Zoe? Tomorrow before lunch. Also on co-creating an AI policy with adult learners. So I hope you guys will go to that. So some prompt writing tips. Use a prompt framework or formula. Now, this is not rigid. In education, we think of a framework and we're like, I've got to hit these points. I've got to cover it all. I've got to make sure I get all the skills. I don't think prompting, it's not that serious. But what a prompt framework helps people do is get into the habit of including the right information in a prompt. This is a framework that we use and we have used for years now. And we've gotten great feedback and it works well for getting people used to that habit. So our framework is called RACEF, Role, Action, Context, Example, Format. So you want to start with a role or a persona. And I like to tell people to think of a role that complements your own. So if you're trying, for example, to analyze data, you might ask it to act as a data scientist, right? So you want to kind of have it more of those data science skills than maybe you have. And so you're going to prompt it in the way that you want it to complement your own skills. So you give it a role, you're a data scientist, then you give it an action. Generate A, or analyze this, or give me ideas for X. So that's the action. That's the task you want it to do. You're going to give it context. What does it need to know about what you're generating? For what scenario? In what learning mode? How do learners, if you're doing a lesson plan, how are learners interacting in the classroom? If you are developing something for an IET, what occupation is it for, right? So what is the context that it needs to know? And then E is for example. You can give it an example of something that has worked well in the past, or whatever you would consider to be a high quality lesson plan, or data visualization, or report. So what is an example of that? And then finally, a format. How do you want it to look? How do you want it to be laid out? Do you want it in bullets? Do you want it in paragraphs? Do you want it with emojis? I read something the other day. Oh, I was doing a training and it was talking about how emojis are not good to use in your communications in the workforce. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm doomed. But yeah, give it a format. I did it again. Okay, that's a prompt framework. So that's helpful. And it's really, I think, important to bring into the classroom with students and help them think through what are the different details that they can include in a prompt. That's part of AI literacy. That's part of those interaction skills. You want to make sure that your prompt is a sandwich. This is other guidance around prompting. You really want to have the clear task at the top and at the bottom. So you'll see in the race F1, for example, the action comes first and the format comes last, because I'm going to say generate a lesson plan. And then at the end, I'm going to say output the lesson plan with a table for X, Y, and Z. So you want to have the explicit task as the bread of your sandwich, and everything else is in between. And then finally, iterate and refine. Again, part of those interaction skills is really helping learners understand, and understanding for yourself that it is a process and it's a collaboration between you and the machine, and it's a dialogue, and you can take whatever it is and continue to iterate and refine it to make it really high quality and aligned with what you need. So the Department of Labor also lays out 7 delivery principles for AI literacy, which I also think are interesting. It's interesting in that many other AI literacy frameworks don't have this either, in terms of how do we actually teach this. And what I also like about this one is that it does align with a lot of the things we already do in adult education. So these will begin to feel familiar. So let's start with number 1, enable experiential learning. Does that sound familiar? Yeah, and so that extends to how we incorporate AI literacy, giving practical, hands-on experiences that allow AI skills to be practiced in real-world situations. Number 2, embed learning in context. Does that sound familiar? A little bit, yeah. So that's integrating AI into existing processes in the context of the industry. Okay, so if we're thinking about learners who are in a CNA IET, what can we support in terms of them developing AI literacy that is contextualized to that future goal of working in healthcare? 3, build complementary human skills. So AI can augment what we do. There's some things that it can automate, but I think that what's transformative for us and for our learners is to use it in a way that augments our skills and comes alongside our judgment, creativity, communication, and problem-solving skills. Number 4 is critical. Address prerequisites to AI literacy. What do you believe those prerequisites might be? Run it, Rachel, run it. Does anybody have an idea of what these prerequisites are? Or maybe you know already, which is fine. Someone online? Mm-hmm. Whoop, whoop. Okay, Liz Elena said digital literacy online.
Yeah, is that on? I mean, just access to technologies.
Access to technology. That's great. Any other ideas? Yeah, that's great. That's exactly it. So we have to address those prerequisites. We need to make sure that learners have access to the technology in a safe way. So what are the AI tools that you have approved for use in classrooms, in your states, and in your programs? That's essential. Do we know that they have the access to build those AI literacy skills in class? And then digital literacy. What are the ways that we continue to support and contextualize and introduce digital literacy in classrooms? An essential prerequisite to AI literacy. Although I don't love the term prerequisite, I think they can be taught concurrently and they can work together and support each other. I keep doing that. 5 is create pathways for continued learning. So this is, how do you kind of sequence out and specialize? So if we know that AI literacy is the baseline that everyone needs, what's the continuation of that pathway? What are the more specialized skills that people might need to apply AI? 6, prepare enabling roles. This is more workforce oriented. And so it's thinking about managers, and trainers. I would say in our context, the enabling roles are teachers, prepare teachers with AI literacy and to teach AI literacy. I hope that the course that we're developing will help you do that. Shameless plug. And then number 7 is design for agility. And I think of this really as digital resilience. Have you all heard that term? Digital resilience. And so just the ability to take our knowledge of different technologies and continue to adapt and be agile as technology advances and changes. Okay, so you guys getting bored. No hard feelings. And so let's do a little exercise here. We are going to take some lesson plans. I've put them into a Padlet. And we will look for which parts of, hold on, it'll help me just to open this and read it explicitly instead of trying to remember something that I planned a while ago. Okay, so we have lesson plan 1 on a professional email, and lesson plan 2 is on area and perimeter. And you're going to start by identifying which parts of the lesson plan you could modify to include an AI tool. Okay, so you'll just start and say, okay, well, maybe in the warm up, there's something they could do with AI in this lesson plan. And then we'll go to build. So this is where we're going to connect it back to the framework. Which of the content areas does your idea align with? Are they building those interaction skills? Are they learning to use AI responsibly? Maybe it aligns to several of the content areas. That will be the build stage. And then deliver. Which of the delivery, those 7 delivery principles that we just went over, does your new activity best support? Is it experiential hands-on learning? Is it preparing enabling roles? Which of those delivery principles have you thought about in your design? I think this is fun if we do it in pairs, but I also acknowledge that some people like to work individually, so I'm not going to force you guys to get into pairs, but if you would like to, turn to someone near you and give them a little sly wink and to let them know you want to work in pairs. For those of you who are online, you guys will work independently. And I'm trying to see, can I pull up the QR code? I'm not logged in. Yes, can you chat the link to them? Jeff, did you manage to find the QR code? Oh, you know what? You can do this. Lovely. What is it? No, it's not in there for some reason. I think because I'm not logged in, it's not letting me do that. So let's do this. That'll work. So there's a QR code to get into the Padlet. If you're on A laptop, I think you may want to pull it up on a laptop just to have more screen space to work with. Find a buddy if you want. We will let's take 10 minutes and see how far you get through these stages. So remember, stage 1 is just look over the lesson plan and find where you would incorporate AI literacy. And we'll start there. And if you get to stage 2 of building by connecting to the content areas, that will be great too. So we've got 10 minutes, okay? Friends online, Jen is still with you guys. So if you need any help, let her know. If you're on a laptop and you want to get to it more easily, we just put a bit.ly code up here. If anybody's wondering how to find the content areas and the delivery principles, the first column of the Padlet has the framework. So if you need a refresher, you didn't memorize what I said about them, then you can just open up that link in the first column of your Padlet. We're going to take another 5 minutes. So keep working. And if you've already gotten through the first stages, feel free to move on to the delivery principles. So let's wrap up and maybe choose someone who will share for your group. Okay. I am so excited to hear everyone's ideas. So let's start with our professional email lesson plan. Who in the room adapted that one? Raise your hand. The email, the professional email. Okay, this group in front chose the email. Okay. And then I'm going to look, and we have some comments online. Okay, great, great, great. For my friends online, I can allow you guys to talk. So if you do want to talk, you have to let Jen know in Whova if you did the email lesson plan and you would like to share out orally. We're going to start with the group here in the front. And why don't you guys tell us how you adapted it and then how that aligns with the DOL framework?
Okay, I'm sorry we're all over the place because we had a deep dive on some other stuff with AI. But what I thought about with the email, definitely you can allow AI to produce examples for them to see, and also that template that will help them guide and write the emails. But I also thought about doing like a gallery walk where you have different scenarios at different stations and allow them each to create their template, their example based on that scenario, but you can rotate to other stations to see what other people wrote too while creating your own. But also allows them with the scenarios. You also, I've done this before, you allow AI to generate the scenarios too, if you can't think of any on your own. So I hope
What are the scenarios? What's happening in a scenario?
so like with the scenarios, like they said, the workplace, you're requesting time off. So give another professional email that you may write based on another scenario, like having different examples, not just because they refer to the time off, but just having other reasons why you need to compose an email. Maybe you need to deal with a
Okay.
difficult coworker, but just having different things you have to deal with. Because the reality is in the workplace, we deal with an array of
A lot of email for different
Yeah,
purposes.
So experience that
Cool.
all, but in a rotation. And I told her, especially with my ESOL students, I would have them work in groups because sometimes articulating the language is hard. So having someone with them, working with them helps them build that vocabulary.
And you were the one doing curriculum development at 7 a.m.
Oh,
Um,
TikTok.
Okay, so another question is, what AI literacy are the students building?
That's a good question.
One idea we had was, oh, Paula, sorry. We thought about perhaps asking AI tool for feedback on the email that they create, or
Okay.
what am I not considering here, like what should be added or even refined. So that was one way we kind of thought about students working directly with an AI tool.
Okay, that's nice. I also see in the gallery walk and the scenarios, you could even have a scenario have them put an AI generated email, and then what would they change? You know, they could mark it up or something. Very cool. Okay. Thank you guys for sharing. Who did? Jamie. Okay, so then Jamie Adelson Goldstein, my personal hero, is online. Oh, in the chat. I'm sorry. Okay. How do I open the chat? Jamie, do you want to just let me unmute you? I've just allowed you to talk. So Jamie, if you can unmute. Oh, you mean the chat that you're looking at? Oh my gosh. Yeah. Okay. Jen will read it. Jen will read it.
Sorry, I don't think you can unmute everyone. So I'm going to read, Jamie, what you said. The individual practice seemed like the most likely place to use the AI post original creation. Then we saw 3 as well as direct instruction because learners would have to prompt well to get an analysis.
Okay.
And Lori, she's written.
The
It's
closest
Jamie
one.
and Lori working together, I think.
Nice. Oh, yeah. 3 was the guided practice. Give the class the scenario work as a whole class to write an email on the whiteboard. Okay. So using that, analyzing that.
She says no, number 3 content is about direct instruction in A. Thanks, Jamie.
Okay, great. Um, okay. 2 for complimenting you. Okay. Oh, she's talking about the framework. I see. Directing AI. Okay. Okay, so any others who used the professional email?
We talked about using it during the warm-up time and having the teacher work with the class to give prompts for a professional email and for a casual email, and like deliberately put in the prompt just as the students initially said it, and then they could go back and edit it.
Okay, nice. Then that kind of aligns with Xavier. Xavier put something similar on modeling how to prompt. So start with a really, simple, maybe not as detailed prompt, and then compare it with something that's more detailed. Yeah. Okay, great. So some different ideas, and really we've covered, I think, both input and output. So some ideas around prompting and giving the right instructions, and then some around evaluating AI generated and content and adapting it. Okay, so what about area? What about area and perimeter? Who did that one? Come on, Donna. You both can share. No, you can't change the lesson plan.
Me telling them the formula, I would have them figure it out and maybe have them go in AI and build a model, have AI build a model where you put the numbers in and the AI will calculate for you. So
Okay.
like figure out the formula instead of me telling them they could figure it out.
Okay, instead of telling them the formula.
The formula for so side plus side plus side. Oh, so
No, you've got, just hold it close to your mouth. Yeah.
closer to my mouth. Yeah, I would have them, instead of me telling them a formula, I would explain the difference between area and perimeter and have them find the formula and put it in AI and have AI where they could put any number. They'd have to use variable so that whatever number they wanted to work with would go in the AI, and AI would build a little model and show them what it looked like. And then you could put in prices and calculate a price per square foot or something.
Okay, so instead of starting with the model, you would start with the numbers and the formula.
Formula, have
Okay.
them figure out what's the formula to find perimeter, what's the formula to find the area. Yeah. Instead
And
of
what would you teach them about AI to build their AI literacy?
they'd have to be able to put in some prompts, yeah, to
It's some
to
prompt
do
writing.
what they wanted. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice. Thanks for sharing. Donna, did you want to share?
Well, since I'm really math challenged, the most important part that I could think of was during, the lesson plan, during the practice part, they would go to AI and they would ask AI to generate 10 practice questions. So they would have to practice how to figure that out, parameter and area, whatever it is. So that, but also maybe having them make really good prompt on how they envision this garden to look, and they have to really be specific about how many flowers they want and how many
Okay.
chairs they want on their end. So they would learn they have to be very good about writing their prompt, or they're going to end up with a strange looking garden.
Okay, so also prompting skills. Okay. And then evaluating the output, checking the answers.
For accuracy.
Yeah. Checking for accuracy is good. I mean, I also think there's a lot of opportunity, Donna, in connection with your example, to support learners in understanding how to use AI to learn something new. So instead of limiting them or maybe starting with some practice questions, but then also saying, there are different modes. There's learn mode in some of these chatbots. So you can actually have it interact with you more as a tutor without having to prompt it to be a tutor. I think that's another interesting idea. Yeah, great. Okay. Is there anyone online who wants to share about area and perimeter?
No one online wants to share about that, but Jamie notes that this is a great lab to think about lessons for the upcoming course
Yeah.
that's going to be
Yeah.
released.
Yes. Thank
So
you
we're
for
seeing
pointing that out.
lessons planned and how people think through the activities.
100%. Yeah. Thanks, Jamie. Yes. We're very excited about the course. I hope you guys are too. There will be a lot for AI literacy and also digital literacy, lesson plan focused guidance in the course and opportunities for them to think about lesson plans and how to adapt them. So yeah. What was I going to say though? There was something else I was going to say before that is escaping me. I really liked Vi and Rachel McDonald had an idea of having like ChatGPT. You can use your camera and show it your surroundings. And so they thought, well, what if we showed our surroundings and ask it to measure things in a room? And what I was explaining is that it's actually not good at that in terms of accuracy. It's good at design. So you can show it a room and have it redesign it, add different couches or paint, but it's not going to be good at getting the measurement accurate. And this is where I see an opportunity for the digital literacy and AI literacy to come together, because we can have them do that with AI, and then we can have them do that with a digital tool like the Measure app on your phone, and kind of compare how some of those more analog digital tools, wait, what? Where are we? Are we in a metaverse? They can kind of target that accuracy more effectively, whereas ChatGPT and generative AI is good at the creativity. So again, yeah. Okay, cool. Thank you guys. This was really fun. I wish we could stay all day and do this. And I know you all wish that too, don't you? But we have 2 more minutes. I'm happy to take some questions. You can ask me anything now, or you can ask me anything anytime today. I would love to chat with you guys more. I am going to put a these were my references too. This email address, if you have questions about the project that we're doing, you can email digitalskills@jff.org. And I'll go ahead and take any questions that you have. And if you need to step out and get to your next session, that's fine too. Thank you guys for coming.